Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving headfirst into one of philosophy's oldest and, let's be honest, kind of creepy questions. It's something you've probably wondered about late at night. How do you actually know that anyone else around you is conscious? Let's get into it.
Let's just put the question right out there. How can you be so sure? Think about it. You experience your own thoughts, your own feelings, your entire inner world firsthand. It's like your own private movie. But everyone else? All you ever get to see is the outside. Their bodies, their behavior, the words they say. You never, ever get to peek inside their mind. And this isn't just about, being wrong about whether a friend is happy or sad. No, this goes way deeper. Philosophers call it the thick, skeptical problem. It's the radical, unsettling doubt that maybe everyone else is what they call a philosophical zombie, a being that looks, talks, and acts perfectly human. But on the inside, the lights are off. Nobody's home. It's just an empty shell, a complex robot going through the motions. If you follow that thought all the way down the rabbit hole, you land on solipsism. And that is the bone-chilling idea that your mind is the only one, that you are, in fact, completely and totally alone in the universe. It's such a profound anxiety that for centuries, some of the world's greatest thinkers have been desperately trying to find a way out. So how do we push back against that kind of radical doubt? Well, the first and most obvious place to start is what we can call the common sense answer. It feels right, it feels natural, and it's probably the one most of us use every day without even thinking twice about it. This is the classic argument from analogy, famously laid out by the philosopher John Stuart Mill. It's a pretty simple idea. It goes like this. Look, I know I have a mind, and I know that when I stub my toe, my mind is what causes me to yell and hop around. Then I look over and I see you stub your toe and you do the exact same thing. So by analogy, I figure you probably have a mind in there causing your behavior too. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, other philosophers weren't so impressed. They immediately started poking holes in it. First big problem, you can never actually check if you're right. There's no machine you can point at someone to verify mind present. Second, and this is a big one, you're generalizing about all 7 billion people on Earth from a sample size of 1, yourself. That's not just bad science, it's really shaky logic. And a third, deeper question was raised. Can you even form a general concept of mind or pain if the only example you've ever known is your own? Okay, so the simple analogy argument is a bit weak. It feels intuitive, but it doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. So philosophers moved on and started to approach the problem more like a scientist would. And this shift is really crucial. The argument changes from you act like me, so you have a mind like me, to something much more powerful, an inference to the best explanation. The new argument goes like this. The theory that other people have minds is simply the best, simplest, most powerful hypothesis to explain their incredibly complex behavior. Any other explanation, like that they're all part of a massive conspiracy of mindless robots, is just way, way less plausible. A great way to think about it is to compare it to something like electrons. No scientist has ever actually seen an electron with their own eyes, but they believe in them. Why? Because the existence of electrons is the best explanation for all the things they can see, like electricity and lightning. In the same way, we believe in other minds because that theory is the best explanation for everything from why people write poetry to why they laugh at a joke. But just as this scientific answer was getting comfortable, a whole new way of thinking came along from philosophers like John McDowell, and it posed a really radical challenge. What if we're overthinking all of this? What if we don't have to infer that someone's in pain from their grimace? What if, in that pained expression, we just see the pain itself? And that question just blew the doors open. The debate wasn't just for philosophers in armchairs anymore. It brought in psychology, it brought in neuroscience, and suddenly we had a whole new set of tools to try and figure out how we actually manage to understand each other. So, one of the first major modern ideas is called, pretty straightforwardly, theory theory. This suggests that from a young age, we're all walking around like little amateur scientists. We build an intuitive folk psychology theory in our heads about how things like beliefs and desires lead to actions. And we use this mental rulebook to predict and make sense of what people do. Now, the main rival to that is simulation theory. And this idea says, no, we don't use a detached theory, we use our own mind as a direct model.
To understand why you're upset, I don't consult some mental encyclopedia entry for upset. I put myself in your shoes, I run a mental simulation of your situation, and I just see what thoughts and feelings my own brain cooks up. It's like I'm running a little video game of your life inside my own head to see how it feels.
And this is where things get really, really cool. Because this debate got supercharged by a real scientific discovery: mirror neurons. These are amazing brain cells that fire both when I say reach for a cup of coffee and also when I just watch you reach for a cup of coffee. For the simulation theorists, this was like striking gold. It looked like a potential neurological basis for how our brains are literally built to mirror and simulate what other people are doing and feeling.
So which is it? Are we little scientists? Or are we mental simulators? Who won the debate? Well, as it so often happens in these big debates, the answer isn't a simple victory for one side. Instead, what we've reached is something like a pluralist peace. The consensus view today is that we don't have just one method for understanding each other. We have a whole flexible toolkit. Sometimes we just directly perceive the joy on a friend's face. It's instant. For more complex social situations, we might need to run one of those mental simulations. And for really bizarre behavior, we might fall back on that logical inference to the best explanation. We just fluidly switch between these strategies depending on the situation. Okay, for our last section, we're going to take a final, profound twist. Because what if this entire quest we've been on, this search for proof, this search for knowledge, what if we've been asking the wrong question from the very start? This is where thinkers like Ludwig Wittgenstein and Stanley Cavell come in and reframe the entire problem. They argued that this desperate, anxious search for certainty about other minds completely misses the point of what it is to be human and to have relationships. The real problem, they said, isn't an intellectual one of knowing, but an ethical, practical one of acknowledging. So what on earth is acknowledgement? Well, it's not a puzzle you solve in your head. It's something you do. It's your active response to another person's humanity. When you really listen to someone, when you comfort them, when you engage with their pain or their joy, that is acknowledgement. It's not about having proof they have a mind. It's about how you choose to treat them. It's an ethical stance you take. Wittgenstein put it perfectly with this incredible line: "My attitude towards him is an attitude towards a soul." Think about it. When you see someone trip and fall, you don't stop and run a logical proof about their consciousness. No, you rush to help. That action is your answer. Your action is your acknowledgement of their soul, their mind, their personhood. And so that's where we land. The journey starts with a very lonely intellectual question about proof, and it ends with a shared ethical challenge that connects every one of us. Maybe the most important question isn't, can you prove it? Maybe the real question is, will you act on it? And that's a question you answer not with a thought, but in every single interaction you have with every single person. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.